Good afternoon. This is Dr. Sai Bhaskar Reddy. Today we are discussing with Shri Sudhakar Reddy Garu, an eminent agriculturist and an engineer. And today we'll be discussing on integrity in agriculture with relevance to marketing. Marketing is one of the most important aspects in agriculture because most of the farmer suffering is due to marketing aspects. Although they are struggling so much in producing the goods, but still when they are going to sell their produce, they are not getting the right price. So there are various aspects in marketing. So some of the challenges in marketing are market information, market infrastructure, processing units, storage facility, transportation, the role of middlemen, ultimately the price, which is also dependent on demand and supply, import and export aspects, and also the most common thing, that is weighing of the material. So these are some of the important issues that we'll be discussing today. And I request Sri Sudhakar Reddy Garu to discuss on these aspects of marketing and how we could see that the farmer gets the right price, which is justifiable price for their all their efforts. Yes, sir, please.
Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak on the subject, which is of very much importance to the farmer. Actually, the production and marketing are intertwined. You can't separate them out. But today, or for that matter, over the ages, marketing-driven production is overriding the production-propelled market. So that is the market-driven is the order of the day. So therefore, the intermediates coming into the picture are overshadowing the ground realities, meaning irrespective of the demand or irrespective of the production, depending upon which is prevalent or predominant. If the demand is more and production is less, supposedly the price would be more. Tendency for price increase will be there. Whereas in the normal situation, when the production is more and demand is less, so the prices should come down. But the real picture in the market tends to be different as managed by the so-called middle people. This is where some regulations are necessary. The real factors of price and demand are not really following the market forces. Pricing, I can understand if it is decided based on some tenets, that is the cost over some markup, reasonable markup. Depending on the cost averages, the governments may be knowing what are the cost averages and what are the costs to be incurred by the so-called middlemen, an average cost. On the costs, see, the other charges can be added. A reasonable pricing can be decided by the government. Anyway, the governments in India can't decide the pricing for the thing, viewing the consumers' interests in their minds. So it is understandable that prices should be reasonable, even from the farmer's point of view or from the consumer's point of view. So therefore, the middleman trying to modulate the prices or decide the prices without any basis to the cost of production or cost at which they get the produce. So whereas the farmer would always be expecting some reasonable price for his produce, but that's not what is happening, you see, to them. So this is where the problem lies for the farmer. Now, when it comes to the market infrastructure, when the governments will spread the market infrastructure from the present scenario, if they can improve these mandis in different areas with proper control and with proper communication facilities between different portals, the infrastructure in a way will regulate the prices. This is where the mandis will play a role. The FPOs, if you can increase the FPOs, especially by empowering a woman, which we have discussed earlier in some of these seminars, that with reasonable markup, the farmer would not be interested, to sell, to exploit the market, because in any case he will not have any opportunity to increase pricing, but he would only be expecting to be regulated by market forces, and suppose he gets some 15%, 20%, he would be too happy to sell his produce. This is where the infrastructure will play a lot of role. And if the infrastructure can help to balance between supply and demand, which nobody has any grouse. Suppose farmer has more produce and there is no much demand, the farmer naturally would be helpless to expect say more price. Whatever reasonable price he gets, he would be too happy to sell his produce, or otherwise there is nothing much he can do also. So unless government will come to the rescue of farmer in such cases, when there will be a normal reduction in price, retail price, and same to be compensated by some sort of relief and rehabilitation by the government. And more so now with the outbreak of the corona, the COVID, we really don't know how the market economics are going to play. And farmer will be in very, very, very precarious position. So, and not only farmer, even the consumer will have no say in these things, in pricing matters. So in the demand and supply, we need to bring some convergence amongst agriculture and allied departments. Like for instance, the marketing of agriculture produce in the nation or in the globe. And you have to combine the convergence of the farmer and the allied departments to see that his produce goes either to the globe or to the nation with proper standards and proper regulations. But that is not what is happening in the case of retail prices. Retail prices are dictated by the middle people, whereas farmer will have no choice. This is where the mandis will play a role. The governments come with the so-called enabled mandis. They come as quickly as possible. In fact, yesterday I happened to discuss with the minister, agriculture minister, state minister, central, in webinar. He took my suggestion very openly, and he admitted I don't say drawbacks, the happenings in the market. And he said you would rush expedite the interconnection of all these mandis through enabled platforms, so that any farmer from any part of India and any part of mandi, with proper easing of norms, say at the mandi level, the license being made uniform throughout India. Once, as I told earlier, once a license is obtained in one mandi, he doesn't have to pay to market his produce from any mandi from anywhere. That means he will have leeway to operate with less costs, and therefore farmer will be in a better position to sell, and then try to discover the price wherever he finds it better. Including the anticipation of the power. Suppose if the software can take care of indicating the forecasting prices, and that means prices which can be forecast, say, at a later stage, maybe within 15 days or 1 month or 2 months. say about short-term or medium-term, long-term variations in prices with reasonable accuracy or error, say about 5% or 10%, the farmer would be in a better position to take the risk by way of keeping the stock in the warehouses. This is where the governments will have to think of infrastructure for storing these produce, depending on whether they are perishable or whether they can be stored for longer period. If it is cereal, they can store it for a certain long period. And depending on the local demand or global demand. The cereals can go through APEDA. APEDA has some standards which can perhaps decide the methodologies. And you can think of floriculture, vegetables, fruits, farm produce, so cereals, things like that. You see the APEDA with harmonization of standards between various countries. APEDA will be in a better position to guide the farmers to export these things with certain standards. So those standards are made known to the farmers, and farmers are given awareness to have knowledge about various aspects of the standards and the methodologies of export and all. You would also be in a position to export these things, in as much as you can also import depending upon what goes into the export. The exports need certain imports. Both can go simultaneously and can be done by the same farmer. And you will have better knowledge of the other global conditions. And you will have control over the inputs, either if it is locally available or if he has to import those inputs for the sake of better qualitative exports. You will have not only, you will ensure not only the quality, and you will be able to regulate or control his export prices. And so the give and take will always be better between the exporter here and the importer there. If the importer is a different person for this product, it is a different matter. You will import from somebody else with quality, and you will export to somebody else with different aspects. And so in both ways, the person here as a farmer mostly, APEDA comes naturally, the farmer, producer will come into the picture. So the whole ecology will improve with these exports and imports. So that way the country will have the farmers saturated with knowledge, better awareness as to build. So all these things play a role. The infrastructure on one hand, the cold storage on the other hand, and the leeway for the farmer to store, anticipate, and then he has the ability to store or to immediately sell at better discount price through mandis. All these factors will come into the picture in the marketing. So the marketing infrastructure will play a lot of role. Before that, if the market information is already known to the farmer, either the indigenously or locally or through mandis, the market information can be got from different channels for different products. Depending on which channel will give him more better information, the farmer would be in a better position to know or in a better position to capture or get awareness and market. The farmer can be trained, skills can be imparted by the relevant or the appropriate authorities in these areas. So this information, based on this information, the farmer will choose either to sell straight away depending on his livelihood conditions or his profit requirement conditions. If he has to sell, he will sell immediately by finding the better, rather discovering the better price through mandis or through other channels depending upon where he gets his prices. So now coming to the anticipation of the prices, as I told already, if he is in a position to forecast his prices, and then he is sure that in 2 months' time he will get, say, 40% price, he will have better chance to store in the infrastructure provided by the government, maybe in the warehouses or in the cold storage, depending on the product. Whether it is perishable product which can be stored for 4 or 5 months, and then it will fetch more price, he will store it for that particular duration and sell, than when he finds better price during this position, during this future period. And coming to this, the intermediates, whether it is better that he sells through the intermediates. Sometimes it may be advantage. The intermediates try to play some tricks in the market. They will all be selling sometimes at much more than the direct buyer. So the farmer will be in a better position based on demand and supply conditions. He may resort to selling to the retailer depending on what he finds best. So he will have better avenues that way if he's properly equipped with the market information without getting entangled with intermediaries. So that's one aspect. So now this is where as I told, the warehouse or storage facility, either within the I would call in their own mandal areas. So in the mandal areas, if the governments think of giving some warehouses, some grading processing can be. There is another aspect we have to think is whether the farmer should, depending on his economic condition, whether he should sell it as a produce since he has no capability of processing, primary processing or secondary processing. Whether by retaining that produce for a longer period he stands to benefit, he will decide by keeping in warehouses or cold storage. If he thinks it has the ability to withstand, he will be able to further do processing and then decide, with that value. So it depends on the economic factors. And then he has to think of what you call calculating these the methodologies by which he saves or whether he gains through a better process, whether it's by processing or value addition or by selling directly as a produce. So then there comes another aspect. Most of the times when he is in a position to sell, that's what is happening today anyway. So in that position, now that we are into this outbreak of COVID, these conditions may not prevail all the times. But such emergencies one will have to face. And then the farmer must be able to have his own transportation, or otherwise the village can think of having one vehicle as a common facility for them by pooling the funds based on the basing on the proceeds they get every year. So the farmers, especially in the horticulture side, when producers have to go far off places, it's better that the villagers think by pooling and then getting one or two vehicles, say, for them to think of sending to different places. In fact, my own produce today, I have asked my contractor to engage one transport vehicle from my village to Hyderabad. And such situation need not be there if we were to have our own vehicle village. One day I can engage, and other day others can engage, depending upon what suits to the village conditions. And this is where the allied departments also must be brought into the picture when you have to send these producers to export. We have to contact the Director General of Foreign Trade is the allied department which helps the farmer by way of registering with them. The APEDA could be another agency, as I already told, for perishable things. This is where even the import of seeds can also be thought over for better export of cereals. And therefore, give and take will be there. This is where the governments will have to bring awareness to the farmers by way of telling them or by way of harmonizing the standards between India and the OECD countries. And this is to facilitate a better marketing by imparting the knowledge of these so-called products. So with the so-called harmonization of these standards for better quality. What quality is good for Germany may not hold good for the UK or the European countries. So this is where it was earlier thought in one of the seminars. We also discussed threadbare the Telangana seed production corporation to better harmonize and have the laboratories, testing laboratories, accredited laboratories, to test these produce to meet those standards for better market. Otherwise, we export and then they don't meet the standards of those countries. And then there is a likelihood of those goods getting returned back to the India. And farmers will be in a precarious position. So the blemish will come to the country and to the area from where this produce is going. So these are all the issues that the governments will have to keep in mind in the interest of farmer, because of all farmers are less knowledgeable. Wherever the mentors are there, wherever better knowledgeable suppliers, say for export or import are there, the government can bring the farmers and then keep under the nose of these so-called mentors and get them trained, get them awareness. Also, they can think of giving skills to these farmers in separate, classes or whatever. So all such things will go a long way. It's not only one particular aspect that brings marketing to the product. Again, it depends on which product you are dealing, whether it is cereal or whether it is floriculture, whether it is perished vegetables or whether it is fruits or whether it is processed goods. So they are better, anyway, as I already told, would be a better agency. Like that, you have to think of aligning yourselves with some sort of convergence between these allied industries so that the synergy will be there for the ultimate good of everybody as a society. So we need convergence of schemes and resources in a way. So it is synergies for the benefit of farmer, and the schemes are many and resources are less. Therefore, we need convergence of schemes and resources. What sort of resources are missing? What sort of schemes are very much beneficial to the farmer, not supported by the so-called resources on hand, although there are plenty, with inadequate knowledge to the farmer or insufficient availability of standard products. If you are able to converge these schemes and resources properly, you are creating a synergy to these people, to the farmers or to the suppliers. Not necessarily the export should happen in the hands of the farmer. Some intermediaries also can think of making good business without cheating anybody. In a right royal way, they think of associating themselves with proper knowledge of the so-called resources and schemes and standards. They will be in a better position to export. I think governments will have to think on these lines and so help get better prices for them. And
Yeah.
this is where the weights and measures play a role, and some regulations are also necessary. They have to be trained, either the sales within the country or sales outside the country, or sales from outside the countries, or ought to be regulated by weights and measures. So the exporters or importers will have to come to know what are these regulations. The, the whole aspect is the legal metrology. The legal metrology will have certain methods, and then the so-called units. Units will always be the weight and the volume or length or whatever. And methods of measurement will also be very important. When it comes to the question of weights, recently one must have been seeing a number of viral videos appearing recently, especially in the case of IKP centers or PSC centers. It's nobody's intention is to cheat anybody else. But if the standards are not made known to these suppliers or to the buyers, there will always be confusion. This is what I told the governments last year itself. I went and represented to market chairman on one occasion when I was the agriculturist. And if the standards are not streamlined, the method of practices are not streamlined, if the payments are not taken care of properly, like for instance, if the 40 kg bag as a cereal or paddy, you can maximum add another 650 grams as the weight of the bag, or maybe 700 to round it off. So the electronic weighing machine should not show beyond 40.7. Anything excess being weighed, we have to remove and then so tag it only for 40.7. But unfortunately, what is happening when you do it in an unconventional way with old weighing machines, so not electronic weighing scales, there is bound to be difference between these things. This is where my plea to the government is. When we talk on one hand the standards, when the practices are differing due to different reasons, not that the government is trying to encourage anybody here, but when so many farmers are involved, millions and lakhs, and in the hands of a few millers, they should not suffer. If there is proper standard in the payment, why should at all there be? After all, you have test weighment. You suppose if 50 kg weighing stone is there, 50 kg, whether it is in Russia or whether it is in America or whether it is in Bombay or whether it is in Hyderabad, it should be 50 kg. It won't change. Maybe with temperature, it may change few grams, not change in kilos. So therefore, governments have to standardize this weighing practices. Absolutely, as an engineer with 40, 45 years of experience, having gone through these weights and measurements, regulations, things like that, one need not be told by anybody. After all, you have got mechanisms. So you please consider the plea of the farmers. The plea of the farmer is wrong. You can always educate him and correct him by showing him 40 kilos test weight is 40 kilos the test weight, wherever it is, whether it is in Karimnagar or whether it is my own place, Kudan. So please, governments will first establish this before we think of the legal metrology. These fundamental factors have to be corrected at respective places so that there will not be any scope for anybody mistaking anybody, any agents. As long as the marketing department and the legal metrology and the district supply officer, seed supplies officer, three of them sitting in the variance. And if all these electronic weighing machines, test weights, are taken care before sending all this paraphernalia to the villages, there is no need for any farmer to have growth on these things. Therefore, the weighing is as important as determining the price. If the governments cannot think of controlling the price, obviously for their own reasons, freedom of doing business. So the weighing at least can be brought to their control. And even pricing, coming to the pricing also, they can always think of widening the scope for farmers by enlarging these mandis through electronic interconnectivity and bringing the price variations to a lesser degree variance, so that farmer will not lose henceforth. So I hope I have covered all the aspects here.
Yes, sir. But as a farmer, I would like to put some points. As a farmer, I'm telling. Means as
Please.
a common farmer, I have few acres of land. I would like to bring as a farmer my views. The aspect that you have covered are very much relevant and most important. And if once all these things are in existing, definitely it will help a farmer to get a better price. That is the scenario one. But as a farmer, let me put my challenges. First
Please.
of all, I had been a subsistence farmer, that is
Okay.
traditionally. And
Okay.
now, because of this demand, that is the excess population, dependent population, the marketing and other new aspects have come into picture. And
Okay.
then this marketing kind of scenario has come. And
Right.
the prices that are being set, they too, when they are being set, I don't have the command to set my own price for my own efforts, for my own all inputs, because everything I'm buying at retail and again I'm selling you at wholesale, and nobody is questioning this aspect. There are no labor laws, there is no justification of anything in addressing my issues as a farmer. That is the fundamental thing, especially the price, right price. Nobody is giving minimum support price is also, it doesn't help a farmer. It is only like somebody in an ICU living with a ventilator or with glucose or something. This kind of schemes are just making a farmer to just exist. That is one of the fundamental questions that is coming up. Second
Right.
thing is glut. See, I am not responsible for the vagaries of the climatic situation or the total scenario of agriculture anywhere else also, because let us say tomato I am cultivating locally, but I don't know, the truckload of tomatoes will suddenly appear from some other state in the morning and it will the vehicle will appear in my mandi. Nobody is stopping that, and I don't know, I never anticipated that a truck can come right from 600 to 1000 kilometers to this mandi and suddenly all the prices would come down. And most importantly, the kind of credit that I get from my own person in the market, the middle person or the broker or the accumulator who accumulates all these materials and what we say aggregator in the markets. So that person lends me some money when I need money for my inputs in agriculture. Now I am forced to sell all my produce to that person only. So these things are already happening. These things we are not aware yet, and that middle people have taken complete hold of this scenery also. And the insult that I am getting in a market, see infrastructure, see I come in the late nights and the kind of toilet that are existing, can I get a good sleep even after coming at the middle of the night? So that is not possible. So again, the basic facilities, like I said, water, toilet, food, and all these kind of things that are not available, it should be honorable. And most biggest insult is when I take my produce for auctioning, the way the middle people or the person, the buyers look at me is always with a doubt. Second thing is they always look at my product, they turn it down and they try to poke it and take out some material and then try to show that, yes, you are the culprit, I am going to reduce something like that. Whether it is none of my mistake, but still they are looking at me not as a person who is a giver.
So I agree with you. This is purely a systemic
Yeah.
problem.
No, let me put some of the aspects, then you can tell all the answers. So here again, I am insulted so much that even when I'm going home, my honor is not with me. So that is my problem. and as a poor farmer coming all the way, even as a Hamali, and I'm everything in my village. But after coming to the market, they say, no, no, you are so and so now. We are going to lift this bag. Even for lifting this bag from this point to A point to B point, again, those things are charged so high, where farmer had been doing all this in his village. He had been bringing all the materials up to the market. Then again here for the sake of cheating. And the price difference you see, in the morning, whatever he sells, and by evening if he wants to buy few things back home, and he knows how many times in one day, in less than 24 hours, the prices have gone so many times. This is what happening especially in the fresh vegetables and other this perishable goods and all that we had been seeing already. So apart from cereals and all that, yes, that margin may not be high, but otherwise they are suffering. And recently we have seen the model that when onion prices has gone up, yes, the governments have played the conspiracy, what we say, the whole society is conspiring against the farmer when he is getting at least a better price. They are importing goods against the interest of the farmer, telling that how others would live, how others would live. Here, the farmer is also the fundamental, one of the persons who had been making the whole society live. And is he not the common person? Why he should suffer in this kind of thing when they bring down the prices? So, and the schemes are also being run. See, governments, then suddenly they bring schemes and then reduce even the paddy price. This is unjustified. The scheme of 1 rupee kg rice, 2 rupee kg rice, and not honoring the local produce. See, otherwise I would have always kept my grains, I would have eaten. Why you are getting the grains from some other state, and under the PDS thing, you are feeding me? It is injustifiable. How you could, the geographical things I should have the right to consume. Then this marketing aspect, even for transportation losses and many other storage and other aspects would not have come into picture. The farmer suffering would not have been so much. At least the barter system is far better, which was existing traditionally, than this kind of the economies where we see the virtual economies. Basically these are, you are trying to sell the thing and get the money and buy all the things with the money. See why we are increasing this, why we are cutting off the circular economies which are local and which are regional, and which always supported the local people.
This is definitely, this is systemic problem. First one was a systemic problem where the system is not guiding. The second one is a policy matter. Policy matter, government, we have to think, you see, that local people to encourage. The systemic problem is happening, you see, when things come from outside the state, or when people gang up inside the mandis, or say the right bazaars. In the 4 o'clock itself, they gang up, and then the local the farmers coming from outside are cheated left, right, center. And so the farmers, poor farmers, have no say in the matter. They just sell whatever price they get. Otherwise, sometimes they say you take the material back. So what can a poor farmer do here? So in the presence of such a system, he will be helpless. So there has to be some mechanism to overcome this. What can we do? Shall we all go and represent to the government? You see, after all, these things have been happening for ages together. But this doesn't mean that farmer should still continue to be put to sufferance, see, irrespective of what he is. So, what is the remedy then? See, one is we are facing systemic problem, the other is policy matter. So, in between, the farmer is sandwiched. So, I think we have to think of this is the reason why the farmer associations should make strong representations, say, to the government. It's not as if governments do not know. They are busy in their own way. But somewhere, some path should lead to bettering the system problems. And anyway, policy will be in the hands of the government.
So there could be some solutions, like as simple as we know the Bitcoin is one thing that has come into picture, where the traceability is there right from the origin to.
True. Traceability is one aspect,
Yeah.
but then you have to totally reform revitalize the mechanisms, you see, the supply processes. Like every bag should be labeled with QR code. So some such systems, you see, will have to come into the picture strongly. But then there is again scope for people, trying to misuse the system by removing these labels. Some sort of foolproof method should be there even in the bags. So
Yeah, not only that, sir, what I feel is there could be some other mechanism like index-based insurance. It should be made compulsory. That helps a farmer at least if the market price is gone down or the crop has not come up well. Many of the challenges that happen to a farmer, at least that based on the production, at least some insurance is there for him. Apart from that, whatever that a farmer sells in the market, there should be some insurance built in it. See, today there was a disaster in that particular Vishakhapatnam. So a person who died in that accident is given 1 crore. So today 50 farmers are committing suicide because they are unable to pay their debt and they are suffering in this country. And see, we are responsible for the death of those farmers. And they are, even in spite of this COVID-19, they are working in the field. There is no lockdown for a farmer. There is lockdown for everyone. Are they not vulnerable? They're 100% vulnerable, but still we left them open. Okay, whether it infects you or no, it's okay. You should work. Otherwise, we cannot survive. So when they
I'm
are
not
able
able
to
to get 1 ton of mango to Hyderabad now. With great difficulty, I'm trying to arrange 1 ton of mango for sale here or for distribution
good,
among my
no, that tells no, sir, the problems of the farmer. See, this is the situation. Now, who is protecting the farmer now? See, ultimately, there should be a built-in mechanism. There could be, once we have traceability, it is not once a farmer sells his goods, that is not the final price. In every stage where the price escalates, some percentage should go back to the farmer. That is
This is
traceability.
what we told in the other day seminar.
Yeah.
60% of the retail price between MSP and retail price should be offered to the farmer. So without any sort of this one.
No, that is the direct price, sir, at the time of
We
selling.
always anybody, even we as consumers, will always look for cheaper prices. That's okay. But it's okay if as a consumer, when I pay, I don't mind paying to let this 60% of my price go to the farmer, whoever would have sold me from whichever source as a farmer, I would have got it. I don't mind as a consumer, the retailer being asked to pay 60% of what I paid to the farmer above the MSP price. So that way you can think of bringing the farmers, whoever it is, farmer or producer, not to be put to sufferance.
So then other things, sir, especially in the nutrients, especially in whatever is produced is not same. That we have to remember, because based on the kind of seeds that they use, the price is not the thing which will define what is produced. Actually, the value of food that keeps a person healthy. See, for medicines, even for such a small tablet, when people are paying so much, and the food is the basic thing, fundamental thing, and food security is the highest thing, and nutrition is number one. And in this produce, when the farmers go ethical production without use of these chemicals and without going through this GMOs, which might affect at the genetic level of the consumer also, then definitely there should be a better price for the farmers. So this kind of mechanisms, and we have to go beyond the what is presently the system is existing, and with many innovations, even the transparency,
The
especially.
governments are definitely trying to do, unlike previous periods, some of these measures taken should go to the ground level. See, other day I asked the minister about this mandi. He says 10,000 ton, 10,000 FPOs. Once they come, I say the discovery price will definitely be better. So how soon they do? Of course, it has taken more than 6-7 years to bring forth what they have contemplated in the strategy. So governments will have to move faster in this direction. No point in having the strategies chalked out. They have to be charted out. They have to chalk out the plans at the ground level and see that how best they can be implemented, and then the farmer be put in a safe place by having to discover better prices with proper grading, proper quality sorting out in the infrastructure. So they have to definitely do all these things in the best interest of the farmer. There are no two things about. On one hand, we are suffering in right bazaars. On the other hand, you don't have other facilities or mechanisms to help us to do things in a right way. I hope governments will soon realize to implement their own the chalked out, evolved strategies taken as a challenge to address all this. So let us hope the best is coming. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Today we have discussed so many aspects related to marketing of the produce, and for the honor of the farmer also, it should be the right price. And considering these aspects, hope the things that we have discussed, many things are in the already being implemented or tested, and some farmers have benefit of that, but not in a large scale. They did not happen, and still the vulnerability of farmer, especially when it comes to marketing, is still there, and it is very high. As you rightly pointed, I have mangoes where to market now. I am helpless. Even a person like you with so much information, knowledge, understanding, and technology, still when you have so much suffering, a poor farmer who has minimum things he is expecting from his little 1 hectare of a farm or less than that, then definitely they are not up to that level. So to see that they could market their produce so well, or they could make a better livelihood and honorable livelihood. And definitely we will see that these things happen, sir. And this marketing issue, which is a major issue for a farmer, is taken care by the systems. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time and all inputs. Thank you very much.